So I believe that the president is working in the interests of the American people to get a deal, a good deal. He's not going to settle for a bad deal, Larry. It's taken a little extra time. The Iranians have some, internal fractures, right, with the IRGC potentially going forward on some of the military stuff. Even Rubio is saying that the supreme leader, is somewhat acting in good faith to try to negotiate coming to the table. So my question to you is, what everybody wants to know, which is how much longer could this take?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. And I think the president is right. It's not a timing question. I mean, look, first of all, they have to do it by courier. So that takes a lot of time right there. And no one's quite sure about this Ayatollah Jr. But my read here on this part of it is the president has not wavered on the fundamental principles of an unconditional surrender regarding an end to nuclearization, shift the enriched uranium out of Iran, and a reopening of the Strait with no controls whatsoever. And probably toss in there, following Secretary Rubio's congressional hearings yesterday and today, toss in there some restraints on their missiles, the development of their missiles, medium range, long range, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the key building blocks from day one, and he's not going to move. And I think that's absolutely terrific. And whatever the time frame is, I mean, look, you may be, I don't know this, but you look at the markets, okay? I mean, I know oil's up $2 today, but basically, WTI is down almost 20%, and even gasoline here at home is down about 5 or 6%. So the markets are kind of saying you're inching toward some kind of resolution of this. Now that may prove to be wrong, but it just seems like that's the movement. I mean, you've had fabulous market and its profits in the economy and so forth, but on this point, at least, some ships. Commercial shipping is getting through. There's a couple stories today. I don't know who to believe on any of this stuff, but one story says that you go through this, what is it, the Oman Channel, and 70 ships have gone through. I don't. It's so hard to verify any of this stuff. But some oil may be slipping through. Again, it's a possibility. And then we're producing a lot of oil, right? And gas, natural gas. So it's not bad. I think the question I have is why not clarify the issue of getting the opening the Strait, at least that channel. Right. In other words, what is it, Project Freedom. I'd like to see CENTCOM or Hegseth or the president, somebody clarify that, because we were all ready for that, right? And then it was pulled off, and now you sort of have this backing and forthing, so that it's hard to figure out.
Somebody the other day was saying that it had to do with the Saudis pulling back on their airspace, giving us rights to it.
At the very begining, but that has all been taken care of. Yeah. These are military decisions. I'd like to see some clarification on that, because I think it could be quite useful. Now, I don't know, there's so much we don't know about these negotiations. We just don't know. And therefore, it may be all tied in, and who knows. But I'd like to see some clarification of that. One thing I really do like, though, you mentioned the Saudis in a different context. I think the president's idea that the Gulf states who have not joined the Abraham Accords should and must join the Abraham Accords and recognize Israel once and for all is a fabulous idea, absolutely fabulous. Just bring them all in. It is a coalition of the willing. They all hate Iran, and whatever they may say, the fact is Iran's been shooting at them, but they've been shooting back. Okay, we know that. And just come on out with it and try to make that part of the deal. I like that very, very much, because this changes the entire geopolitics of the Middle East. And it does so I think, a very long-lasting way. This is such a brilliant, brilliant idea to expand the Abraham Accord.
Can I ask you a question on that? If we want a new Middle East, how do we make sure that Iran doesn't use the Strait as their leverage point? Because I'm just wondering, I'm assuming that we went into this and every military strategist, everyone sitting down goes, they're going to close the Strait. And everyone, I'm assuming, thinks we either pummel them so hard they can't, or they'll close the Strait and we'll deal with it. Did we underestimate their ability to close the Strait? Did we think other Gulf nations would help us keep it open? Because I think we just need the Strait to be open.
Of course we didn't underestimate. Of course we've been planning this for 4 decades. You know, we have a very fine military in this country, and they've been working on this. And, you know, just listen to what Jack Keane, who's probably the most outspoken guy here, and, you know, our best link to the Joint Chiefs and CENTCOM. I mean, of course we knew. But I think here's where the Scott Bessent part come in. I mean, had a wonderful time with him at the Reagan Library last week in our interview and our conversations, because what Scott has done, I mean, he is the finest, strongest wartime Treasury Secretary since World War II, at least. Okay, Morgenthau was the guy. I mean, he may have been better. But what he's doing with the embargoes and the blockades and the seizing of the crypto and the bank accounts and the villas and the yachts, you know, because these the revolutionary guy at RGC, you know, stealing and looting from the Iranian people all these many years. What Scott is doing is he's destroying slowly but surely their entire economy, and that's going to really hurt. And it's great that, you know, President Trump, we may have a ceasefire now. You know, it's an odd ceasefire. I'll grant you. It's
a lot of fire in it.
It's a lot of fire in the ceasefire. But all through this, the blockade and the you know, strategic economic attack that Scott Bessent has done has been fantastic. I mean, you'll see these numbers from the central bank. The consumer price index is up 77% in May, nice going. But when you look at just the essentials, medicine, taxi fares, tobacco, communication fees, it's up 114% from the year before. And as Scott told me, and, you know, said so publicly, nobody's showing up for it. They can't pay the troops. The cops aren't showing up. The regular army's probably not showing up. We know the industrial base has been completely destroyed. This is just splendid, because if we don't get some binding deal, we will have set them back 20 or 30 years. All right, and that's not nothing. That's not nothing. That means that we didn't kick the can down the road. We didn't give them any money. So far, no money. That's another really, I mean, just this business about 12 billion or 120 billion in seized assets, nothing. So we're starving them financially. We're starving them economically. We've destroyed their industrial base. You know, the country, I mean, I'm surprised that people haven't risen up yet. But be that as it may, that by itself is a wonderful thing.
You know, you just reminded me of something with, because Rubio's been really strong about no money without concrete results, right? Okay, and but he was testifying today, Taylor, to the question you raised. And I can't remember which congressman asked him, but they asked him about the long-term picture for oil, okay? The really long-term picture. How much is the world tilting in oil because of what's happening with Iran and the Strait? And it's fascinating if you just look at that story. And I know this is not like a tomorrow story, but if you add up what the U.S. is doing, okay, if you add up what the UAE is doing in Saudis, UAE is going to pump more Saudis and UAE pipelines to get away from the Strait of Hormuz. Venezuela, and then you add in some other countries like Guyana, okay, or Kazakhstan.
Chevron bought Hess, paid fair amount for it because of Guyana. And right there.
Is it Exxon? They're doing almost 1 million barrels a day now. Brazil way up. So
Argentina.
It's not a tomorrow thing, but I do think the Strait inevitably is going to become way less relevant to global oil And part of it is going to be because
that was
of
Dan
what we've done
Jurgens,
here.
Dan Jurgens' piece today in the Journal.
Is that right?
Very good piece. And he wrote, and don't forget natural gas. Right, there's a substitution effect over time because natural gas is a cleaner burning fuel.
Who just opened up the field? Norway. Oh, reopened the North.
Really?
I mean, when Europe
Wow.
is opening up fields,
soon England will do it too.
Things have changed.
And then they'll do it on a capitalist basis. Holy cow. Who knows? Strange things are happening.
I'm just
Pigs
saying,
are flying somewhere, Larry.
like you long-term plays, when you tilt the globe like that, that
agree.
pays dividends, not just months.
I totally. We're gonna be the natural gas, aren't we? LNG. So you're 100% right. These, by the way, I mean, it's just you can lose yourself in the details, but these are all really good trends. And look, one thing. This is another thing that Bessent talks about. It's very amusing in a way. These Gulf countries that were harboring offshore Iranian, IRGC accounts wouldn't fess up, right?
Qatar.
Yes, one of the main ones, Qatar, and Oman is another one. But without, the only really good guy there is UAE. But anyway, they wouldn't fess up. But as soon as Iran started bombing them, suddenly they restored their memory. Light bulbs went off, and we were able to swoop in and freeze or seize everything. I just love that. So these are all very good things.
It just goes to show you, though, even their friends can't trust them.
Heck yeah.
They can't come after everybody.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts, Jerry?
Well, no, I think the restructuring of the global economy throughout the Trump presidency is what's so interesting to me here. And even Europe standing now is very different than it was even 2 years ago. I mean, if you're going to talk about these issues, I think you're right, Brian. You got to back up and think about the long term.
Short term matters, but big picture, long term matters too, and you can't lose sight
A
of it.
lot of
And
good
President-
things are
Yeah.
flowing from this. That's the key point.
Yeah.
It's a restructuring of geopolitics. It's a restructuring of energy. It's a restructuring of economic. Heck, they're just announcing today this U.S.-China trade board. How about that? Now, I don't know what the, substance in there is.
I know a guy who doesn't trust those things.
I
but,
understand, and China is an adversary, but the fact is it's just kind of part of this. Better, what is it? Jaw is better than war, something like that.
And I was just
Churchill said that.
going to say that President Trump is a big picture, long-term guy. All of these strategies and this war are focusing on just that for the American people.